Drake ICEMAN is officially out. Very typical Drake production for the most part, but there's a lot of beat switches and some important production techniques we're going to break down in today's video. So let's get into it. So very first thing you'll notice with our beat is there is a beat switch. We started out with a trap vibe and then speed up the tempo a little bit and go into more of an R&B vibe. Most of Drake's songs don't have like a lot of counter melodies. It's usually one chord progression and then what I call background ambience. My favorite example of a trap melody on this album is National Treasure. Just listen to how simple the chord progression is, and there's not really much else besides that.
Out in the six, I'm a national treasure. The niggas that bad me gon' bad me forever.
So I just started out with this Omnisphere patch. And then these two chords, they were just voicing changes, so we'll put these down, and that's how I got that. Then I layered this in on this Analog Lab patch. Only difference with this one is I added this high note up there, just so there's a little bit of movement in the melody, so it's not so still. Then a huge staple of Drake production are synth basses. A lot of his songs don't even use 808s, they'll just use the synth bass instead. Just so it's not too basic, I then added just a little bit of ambience in the background. I'm going to show you how I made this. So this beat is actually in the key of F minor, but I went and I wrote this melody in D sharp minor. And the reason D sharp minor works so well is because every black key is in D sharp minor. And if you just mess around with the black notes, look, every single note here is just a black note, you get some really interesting, cool sounding patterns. So I just went and I just laid down a random MIDI, just messing around on the keyboard. But I wanted this to be a lot more ambient in the background. So I exported it, I pitched it up a whole octave, +2, so now it's in F minor. And I added a bunch of delay. And now that adds just enough so there's some cool background textures, but there's not really like a melody that's taking up too much space. Now the drums are super simple. Most of the songs in this album just simply follow kick, hat, snare, maybe an open hat, and then an 808. For this one, literally just kick, snare, hat, and then I added the section with the 808. Patterns themselves are super simple. There's barely any rolls, just a little something here. The 808s just follow the kicks. And that's basically it. Drake beats are very simple. That is one of the biggest things he's known for. So my biggest tip for these beats is layering. That's why I have the same just simple chords layered on multiple sounds, because you're able to take a simple idea and make it a bit bigger like that. What you don't want to do is add a bunch of random counter melodies which take away from the beat and don't make it Drake-like. So before we get into the beat switch, this is the trap section. Right, now for the R&B section, very similar. I actually just copy and pasted the same drums over because the R&B beats on this album, they all sit around a similar tempo. I sped it up to 131 instead of 144, which is what the original was at, but the concept is very the same. We have our very basic chords. I didn't even layer anything. We have a synth bass, then we have vocals, and I flipped those vocals the same way I flipped this lead to create some like background ambience. Then there's a little bit of a lead at the end for the outro. So starting with the chords, this analog lab pad, and my best tip for R&B chords is simply just make everything sevenths. You know, your normal trap stuff would be like this. But that sounds just like, it sounds a little corny in my opinion, but adding in that fourth note, that's where the emotion comes in. And that gives like an uplifting Drake vibe. Let's change some of the voicings over here. But it's the exact same chords. And notice how much empty space there is here. That, again, super crucial part of Drake's production. Now, if we take a look at some of the R&B cuts on this album, they all follow that formula. Bass and vocals.
Rebuttals, and I got a bunch of hits on my hands, see the swollen knuckles. I try to tell when I talk to you and I confide. I'm going back to Cali. I got hearts in both.
Easiest place to get vocals is Arcade, so I just laid down this simple pattern with a lot of space in it. For the flip, I just reversed it, pitched it up an octave, just like the last one, and added that same delay. Just added a bass which follows the chords. And then the lead for the outro. Some key things to remember for R&B Drake beats are use seventh chords to create the emotion, make sure there's a lot of empty space, and then just follow the formula of bass and vocals. So with all that being said, this is the R&B beat. Bit of a simpler one today, guys. Should I make this a series? Should I cover the other 2 albums he dropped? Let me know in the comments below. By the way, you get these drum sounds plus a bunch of free kits on my website. Check that out in the description below, and I'll see you guys in the next one.